Are you on a relentless quest for happiness, constantly striving for that elusive feeling of perfect contentment? Do you find yourself measuring your life against the seemingly perfect portrayals on social media, only to feel a pang of dissatisfaction? What if the very way we've been taught to pursue happiness is fundamentally flawed, leading us further away from genuine fulfillment? There is an ancient wisdom, a philosophy forged in the fires of adversity, that offers a radically different path to true contentment. In this video, we'll explore the profound insights of Seneca, a Roman Stoic philosopher who navigated the treacherous waters of power and privilege while grappling with the universal human quest for happiness. Today, we are bombarded with messages that equate happiness with material possessions, fleeting pleasures, and external validation. We are told to buy happiness, achieve happiness, and perform happiness for the world to see. This relentless pursuit creates a vicious cycle of chasing external rewards, leading to hedonic adaptation, where we constantly need more to achieve the same level of fleeting joy. This leaves many feeling empty, anxious, and trapped in an endless loop of dissatisfaction, perpetually striving for a happiness that remains just out of reach. Seneca, living in a world of emperors and gladiators, recognized these pitfalls thousands of years ago. In this video, we will uncover Seneca's brutal truth about happiness, a challenging yet ultimately liberating perspective that has the power to transform your life. We'll delve into the core principles of Stoicism, learning how to cultivate inner strength, accept what we cannot control, and discover contentment through virtue rather than fleeting pleasures. By embracing Seneca's wisdom, you can break free from the modern obsession with happiness and cultivate a deeper, more lasting sense of fulfillment. Prepare to have your assumptions challenged, because Seneca's teachings offer a stark contrast to the messages we're constantly bombarded with, but it's precisely what we need to escape modern unhappiness. What Seneca has to say isn't always easy to hear, but it's exactly what we need to escape modern unhappiness. You might be thinking, Stoicism sounds harsh and restrictive. Can embracing hardship really lead to happiness? If you've ever felt frustrated by the constant pressure to be happy, you're not alone. We will be going through actionable steps that will allow for a more fulfilling life. So, let's begin by understanding the core problem that Seneca sought to address. Seneca sought to address a world obsessed with fleeting pleasures. But here's the twist. Seneca believed much of our unhappiness stems from a fundamental misunderstanding, our relentless attempts to control things that are inherently beyond our influence. The modern pursuit of happiness is often rooted in this very error, a constant chase for external validation and favorable circumstances. We strive to control our careers, our relationships, even our own bodies, believing that these external factors hold the key to contentment. But what happens when the market crashes, a relationship ends, or our bodies betray us with illness? The relentless chase for happiness is rooted in an attempt to control external circumstances, and therefore it is doomed to failure. Is true and lasting peace of mind even achievable in a world filled with uncertainty? The key, Seneca argued, lies in understanding the crucial distinction between what is within our power and what is not. So how do we learn to tell the difference? Stay with me, because what comes next will change your entire outlook on life. To truly grasp Seneca's wisdom, we must understand the core principle of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. This means acknowledging that life is divided into two distinct domains. The first, the inner domain, encompasses everything within our own minds, our thoughts, actions, judgments, and virtues. Within ourselves, we have autonomy over our thoughts, reactions, and choices. This is the realm where we can exert true influence. We can choose to be honest, courageous, and compassionate, regardless of the circumstances we face. We can control our reactions to external events, choosing reason and logic over anger and despair. But what about everything outside of us? External events, on the other hand, are indifferent. They happen whether we want them to or not. Trying to control them is a fool's errand. This outer domain includes everything from the weather and the economy to other people's actions and opinions. We can influence these things to some extent, but we can never truly control them. Think of it like trying to stop the tide with a broom, a futile and frustrating endeavor. True freedom comes not from dominating our surroundings, but from accepting the reality we face and focusing our energy where it matters most, the inner domain. This distinction is vital, but there's an important nuance to understand. Seneca allowed for preferring certain outcomes, but did not condone the act of needing these things. It's perfectly natural to prefer good health over illness, wealth over poverty, and success over failure. However, becoming attached to these preferences, believing that they are essential for our happiness, is a recipe for disaster. Seneca allowed for desiring things, but did not condone the act of needing these things. What this means is, we should strive for excellence but not be crushed by setbacks. We should enjoy our possessions but not be enslaved by them. What happens when we confuse our preferences with needs? We become vulnerable to disappointment, anxiety, and fear. We start measuring our worth by external standards, constantly seeking validation from others. Is it possible to truly want something, but also be okay with it never happening? And if so, how does one actually attain that mindset? History is filled with figures who embodied this dichotomy of control, often in the face of unimaginable adversity. Consider Epictetus, who lived as a slave. He couldn't control his circumstances, but he could control his attitude. Despite his physical bondage, he achieved inner freedom through reason and self-mastery, becoming one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. He famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by their judgment about things." Seneca echoed this sentiment, writing, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choice I really control." Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, faced the constant pressures of leadership, war, and political intrigue. Yet he found solace and strength in Stoic principles, reminding himself daily to focus on virtue and accept what he could not change. Consider the frustration of being stuck in traffic. You can get angry, honk your horn, and stress yourself out, but it won't change the situation. Focusing on your reaction can make a difference. You can choose to listen to an audiobook, practice mindfulness, or simply accept the delay with equanimity. Seneca even suggests contemplating potential losses so you are more prepared for them. Seneca even advocated for what he called voluntary discomfort, deliberately experiencing minor hardships to strengthen our resilience and detach from comfort. This is the essence of negative visualization, a powerful Stoic technique that involves contemplating potential misfortune. Seneca even suggests contemplating potential losses so you are more prepared for them. By imagining the loss of our possessions, our loved ones, or our health, we can diminish our fear of these events and appreciate what we have in the present moment. This practice isn't about dwelling on negativity. It's about cultivating a realistic perspective and developing the mental fortitude to withstand whatever life throws our way. It is about preparing ourselves for what could happen, so we appreciate what does happen. By focusing on our thoughts and actions, we regain agency and reduce our reliance on external factors for happiness. This is especially relevant in today's world, where social media fosters a constant need for validation and comparison. We are bombarded with images of seemingly perfect lives, leading us to feel inadequate and dissatisfied with our own. But Seneca would argue that you are the ultimate judge of yourself. Social media fosters a need for validation, but Seneca would argue that you are the ultimate judge of yourself. Your worth is not determined by the number of likes you receive or the size of your bank account, but by the quality of your character and the integrity of your actions. Accepting what we cannot control doesn't mean resignation. It means freeing up energy to focus on what truly matters. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means freeing up energy to focus on what truly matters. By letting go of our need to control everything, we create space for inner peace, resilience, and genuine fulfillment. Consider what is actually in your control. Is it what people think of you? Or is it how you react to what people think of you? What aspects of your life are you trying to control that are actually beyond your influence? These are hard questions, and even harder to put into practice. Understanding the dichotomy of control is the first step, but how do we put it into practice? Let's explore some actionable ways to start. From journaling to mindfulness, there are many tools we can use to cultivate inner strength and detach from external outcomes. So how do we change our perspective and use this in our everyday lives? Stay with me, because we are about to go over specific practices that you can use in your own life. We've discussed the importance of the dichotomy of control, the Stoic idea that helps us differentiate what we can and cannot influence. But how do we move beyond the theoretical and actually live this philosophy? How do we translate this awareness into practical daily habits and actions that lead to lasting contentment? The answer lies in specific Stoic practices, tools designed to cultivate inner resilience, wise decision-making, and a more grounded perspective on life's inevitable challenges. These practices aren't about suppressing emotions or denying the reality of suffering, but about managing our reactions to the things that happen to us. They offer actionable techniques to internalize Stoic philosophy and ultimately transform the way we experience the world. One of the most effective of these tools is Stoic journaling, a method for self-reflection and identifying areas of control in our lives. But how does this work? The process involves regularly writing down your thoughts and feelings, not just as a stream of consciousness, but with specific prompts designed to uncover your underlying judgments and reactions. For example, you might start by describing a recent event that caused you stress or unhappiness. Then, you would analyze your emotional response. What specific emotions did you feel? What judgments did you make about the situation or the people involved? And most importantly, what aspects of the situation were within your control, and what aspects were beyond your influence? This structured approach to journaling helps us to become more aware of our thought patterns and to identify the specific areas where we can exert our agency. Another powerful practice is mindfulness, or meditation, a tool for increasing awareness of thoughts and emotions in the present moment. Now, this isn't about emptying your mind, which is impossible, but about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, like watching clouds pass by in the sky. Mindfulness is often misunderstood, but think about this. It is about being present with your thoughts and not judging them. This heightened awareness helps create a space between stimulus and response, allowing for more rational decision-making. When we are mindful, we are less likely to react impulsively or emotionally to external events. Instead, we can pause, observe our reactions, and choose a more thoughtful course of action. In fact, the whole point of mindfulness is to give a moment of pause, so you can make a conscious decision, instead of a reaction based on emotion. Another essential Stoic practice is acceptance, an active practice of acknowledging what is beyond our control without resistance or negativity. But here's the twist. Acceptance isn't passive resignation or simply giving up. It is not about saying, "Oh well, I can't do anything about it," and then doing nothing. Instead, acceptance is an active choice to focus our energy on what we can influence, rather than wasting it on things we cannot. This is where the concept of amor fati, a term used by Nietzsche that encapsulates acceptance of fate, comes into play. It means not only accepting what happens to us, but loving it. Now, this doesn't mean you have to enjoy bad things that happen to you. It simply means that you recognize that it happened, and you can learn from it. This is the essence of Stoic acceptance, embracing everything that life throws our way, both good and bad, as opportunities for growth and wisdom. To put these practices into action, consider these specific journaling prompts related to common sources of stress and unhappiness. For example, ask yourself, what triggered my anger today? What was within my control in that situation? What judgments did I make that contributed to my anger? What could I have done differently? For incorporating mindfulness into daily life, try mindful breathing exercises, even just a few minutes each day, focusing on the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Or practice mindful walking, paying attention to the sensory experiences of your surroundings, the sights, sounds, and smells. To illustrate the application of acceptance, consider real-life scenarios like dealing with a job loss. Instead of dwelling on the unfairness of the situation or spiraling into despair, focus on what you can control, updating your resume, networking with contacts, and developing new skills. Or, think about navigating difficult relationships. Instead of trying to change the other person, accept them for who they are and focus on managing your own reactions and boundaries. Consider also that acceptance allows you to see the world as it really is, without projecting your hopes, fears, or expectations onto it. When you accept the reality of a situation, you are better equipped to deal with it effectively. These methods promote self-awareness, and you can apply them together or independently, depending on your needs and preferences. You can choose to use one or all of them. It simply comes down to what you need. Think of these methods as a Swiss Army knife. Each tool has a specific application, but is extremely powerful when used correctly. Taken together, these practices offer a powerful framework for cultivating inner peace and resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Consistent journaling leads to greater self-awareness, emotional regulation, and clarity in decision-making, as you begin to identify patterns in your thoughts and behaviors. The practice of mindfulness leads to reduced stress, increased focus, and improved emotional resilience, as you learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. And the transformative power of acceptance reduces suffering, fosters inner peace, and frees up energy for meaningful pursuits, as you stop wasting time and energy on things you cannot control. In fact, by incorporating these practices into your daily routines, you can manage anxieties and respond to events in a much more composed way. Ultimately, these practices connect back to the core Stoic goal, living a virtuous and meaningful life aligned with reason and nature, and allows you to live a happier and more fulfilled life. Which of these practices resonates most with you? How can you integrate them into your daily routine to cultivate greater inner peace and resilience? Adopting Stoic practices can be challenging, and setbacks are normal, but don't let that discourage you from moving forward. Know that it takes time and dedication. There will be times when you find it difficult to maintain consistency or when you confuse acceptance with passivity, but you simply need to keep moving forward. Now, what are the common obstacles that prevent people from fully embracing these practices, and how can we overcome them? We are about to go over some common misconceptions and some strategies for staying motivated, so stay with me. Applying Stoic principles consistently is like navigating a labyrinth. The theory seems straightforward, but the path is often winding and filled with unexpected turns. We can intellectually grasp the dichotomy of control, the importance of virtue, and the value of acceptance, yet find ourselves stumbling repeatedly in our daily lives. Setbacks and plateaus are not signs of failure, but rather integral parts of the journey itself. They don't negate the value of striving, but highlight areas where we need to refine our understanding and strengthen our resolve. What, then, are the common roadblocks that hinder sustained Stoic practice, and how can we proactively address them before they derail our progress? How can we take the theory and make it a habit? Remember, this isn't about striving for some unattainable perfection, but about committing to continuous progress, one step at a time. One of the most pervasive pitfalls is unrealistic expectations. Many embark on the Stoic path with the hope of immediate and constant relief from suffering. They expect that by simply understanding the principles, they will instantly be immune to stress, anxiety, and frustration. However, this expectation is not only unrealistic but also counterproductive. Stoicism is not a magic pill. It's a practice, and like any skill, it requires time, effort, and patience to develop. Expecting instant results is akin to starting a mindfulness practice and expecting to achieve enlightenment after a single session. The frustration of not seeing immediate changes can lead to discouragement and, ultimately, abandonment of the practice. Another common obstacle is a lack of consistency. Stoic principles, like any discipline, yield cumulative benefits when practiced regularly. Inconsistent application is like sporadic workouts at the gym. You might feel good in the moment, but you won't see significant muscle development or long-term improvements in your fitness. Similarly, engaging with Stoic exercises only when you're feeling particularly stressed or challenged will limit their effectiveness. To truly internalize Stoic philosophy, it must become an integral part of your daily routine, a consistent practice that shapes your thoughts, actions, and reactions. So, how often do you find yourself practicing when things are good, compared to when things are bad? Perhaps one of the most misunderstood aspects of Stoicism is the concept of acceptance. It's easy to confuse accepting what you cannot control with passivity, leading to stagnation and a failure to take action where you do have agency. True Stoic acceptance is not about resigning yourself to fate or passively enduring injustice. It's about recognizing the limits of your influence and focusing your energy on what you can change. Confusing acceptance with passivity can lead to a sense of helplessness and a failure to exercise your moral responsibility. How do we strike the delicate balance between accepting the inevitable and actively striving for positive change? Finally, the desire for external validation can subtly undermine the core Stoic principle of inner virtue as the primary reward. Seeking praise or recognition for your Stoic practices can shift your focus from internal moral development to external approval. While it's natural to want to be acknowledged for your efforts, relying on external validation is a dangerous path. External validation is fleeting and conditional, dependent on the opinions and judgments of others. True Stoic contentment comes from aligning your actions with your own moral compass, regardless of external praise or criticism. Do you ever find yourself seeking acknowledgement for your acts of virtue? Consider the example of someone starting a mindfulness practice, expecting instant stress relief, then quitting after a week of no apparent change. This is like the hare in the classic fable, sprinting ahead with great enthusiasm, only to burn out quickly and lose the race. Contrast this with the tortoise, who progresses slowly and steadily, eventually reaching the finish line through perseverance and consistency. Or think about someone who journals sporadically, only when they're feeling overwhelmed, versus someone with a consistent practice over months. The sporadic journaler might miss key emotional patterns and fail to identify underlying triggers. The consistent journaler, on the other hand, can track their emotions over time, identify recurring patterns, and develop more effective coping strategies. Implementing calendar blocking can be a valuable tool for ensuring consistency in your Stoic practices. Now, consider the example of someone facing injustice, perhaps witnessing discrimination or inequality. Acceptance of the situation does not mean condoning it or passively allowing it to continue. Instead, it means accepting the reality of the injustice while actively working to change unjust laws or policies. Think about historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr., who accepted the reality of racial segregation while tirelessly fighting for civil rights. Reflect on how this applies to modern societal issues, where acceptance of current conditions must be coupled with active efforts to create a more just and equitable world. Or, think about someone performing acts of stoic virtue, primarily to impress others on social media, posting about their acts of kindness and seeking validation through likes and comments. This misses the entire point of internal moral development. How much of our daily lives are impacted by social media and our desire for approval? Seneca wisely noted, "It is not that they are hard to achieve, but that we imagine they are hard to achieve." This quote underscores the importance of managing our expectations and recognizing that progress, not perfection, is the ultimate goal. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the importance of focusing on what we can control, reminding us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. What does this mean for avoiding these pitfalls? It means managing expectations by focusing on small, incremental improvements and celebrating progress, not perfection. Think of this like weightlifting. You don't expect to lift the heaviest weight on your first day. You gradually increase the weight as you get stronger. Remember Epictetus and his time as a slave. While other slaves resented their circumstances, Epictetus focused on cultivating inner freedom and virtue. This is differentiating acceptance from passivity, requires clarity in values, identifying what you stand for and where you will take action. So, what's the takeaway here? Internalizing virtue means shifting focus from external approval to aligning actions with your own moral compass, what some might call your inner scoreboard. Consider the power of setting reminders, integrating practices into existing routines, and finding an accountability partner to maintain consistency. Which of these pitfalls have you encountered in your journey? What specific strategies can you implement to overcome them and stay true to the Stoic path? How would Seneca, the original Stoic gangster, avoided these pitfalls? Even with proactive strategies and unwavering commitment, adversity is an inevitable part of life. The Stoics didn't shy away from hardship. They saw it as an opportunity for growth. This brings us to our next question. How can we shift our perspective to embrace challenges and learn from setbacks? How can we find strength in adversity? We are about to explore how to turn obstacles upside down, but first, let's examine how Stoicism reframes adversity. Even with proactive strategies and unwavering commitment, we still tend to want to avoid pain and suffering at all costs. It's human nature, isn't it? We are wired to seek pleasure and avoid discomfort. But what if I told you that adversity isn't inherently bad? What if hardship was actually an opportunity for growth and self-improvement? How can we actively transform our perception of hardship into a source of strength and wisdom? Is it even possible to embrace challenges rather than shy away from them? How can we begin to see hardship as an opportunity rather than an inescapable burden? After all, the ability to reframe circumstance is the ultimate test of a Stoic, and what separates those who merely study Stoicism from those who truly practice it. Consider this. Every setback, every failure, every moment of suffering holds within it a valuable lesson waiting to be discovered. These lessons can teach us about ourselves, our limitations, and the intricate workings of the world around us. Do you see obstacles as roadblocks or stepping stones? Viewing an obstacle as the way isn't about blindly charging forward without acknowledging the difficulty, but about recognizing that the path through the challenge is the path to growth. Each obstacle presents an opportunity to learn, adapt, and become more resilient. It forces us to confront our weaknesses, develop new skills, and refine our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Why is this shift in perspective so crucial? Because it transforms us from passive victims of circumstance into active agents of our own growth. Instead of being defined by our hardships, we are defined by how we overcome them. But how do we actually begin to view the obstacle as the way? Moreover, even in the most difficult and seemingly hopeless situations, there may be unexpected advantages or silver linings hidden beneath the surface. Can you think of a time when something terrible happened, and it eventually led to something great? Perhaps a job loss that led to a more fulfilling career, or a painful breakup that led to a stronger, healthier relationship. These unexpected advantages can take many forms: increased resilience, stronger relationships, new perspectives, or even a newfound appreciation for life's simple joys. The key is to actively seek out these hidden benefits, to look beyond the immediate pain and recognize the potential for growth and positive change. How do we cultivate this mindset of searching for silver linings, even when the storm clouds are raging? Is it simply a matter of positive thinking, or is there a deeper process at play? Cultivating gratitude, especially in the face of adversity, is a powerful Stoic practice that helps us maintain a positive attitude and keep things in perspective. Gratitude isn't about denying the reality of our suffering or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging the good things that do exist in our lives, even amidst the challenges. Think about it. What are you grateful for right now, in this very moment? Practicing gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, helping us appreciate the present moment and build resilience against negative emotions. How can we make gratitude a daily habit, even when we're feeling overwhelmed by hardship? What small things can we be thankful for, even in the midst of chaos? How would Seneca view an attitude of thankfulness? Understanding that all things are temporary, both good and bad, allows us to detach from suffering and appreciate the present moment. This understanding of impermanence isn't about nihilism or fatalism, but about recognizing the ever-changing nature of reality. Just as joy and pleasure are fleeting, so too are pain and suffering. Knowing that challenges will eventually pass helps us endure them with greater patience and equanimity. Moreover, recognizing the impermanence of good times encourages us to fully appreciate and savor them while they last. By embracing the transient nature of life, we can cultivate a sense of detachment from outcomes and find greater peace in the present moment. But how do we truly internalize the concept of impermanence? How can we make it more than just an intellectual understanding and turn it into a lived reality? Finally, adhering to virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance during hardship gives us a sense of purpose and meaning, and makes our adversity worthwhile. Living in accordance with virtue isn't about blindly following a set of rules, but about consciously choosing to act in ways that align with our values, even when it's difficult. When faced with adversity, we can choose to act with wisdom, seeking understanding and making informed decisions. We can choose to act with justice, treating others fairly and standing up for what is right. We can choose to act with courage, facing our fears and persevering in the face of challenges. And we can choose to act with temperance, exercising self-control and avoiding excess. By living virtuously, even in the midst of suffering, we transform our challenges into opportunities to demonstrate our character and live a more meaningful life. But what does it actually look like to live virtuously in the face of adversity? What specific actions can we take to embody these virtues in our daily lives? Seneca wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Marcus Aurelius echoed this sentiment, reminding us that our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or our dispositions, because we can accommodate and adapt. The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. Take Viktor Frankl, for example, who, stripped of everything in a concentration camp, found meaning by choosing his attitude and focusing on helping others. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for decades, emerged with unwavering forgiveness and a commitment to justice. These individuals didn't deny the reality of their suffering, but chose to reframe it as an opportunity for growth and service. Imagine losing your job, a scenario that can trigger immense stress and uncertainty. Applying Stoic reframing techniques, you might choose to focus on the opportunity to learn new skills, explore different career paths, or re-evaluate your priorities. Instead of dwelling on the loss, you actively seek ways to grow and improve. What does it look like to have a bias for action, like Aurelius suggests? Or consider the pain of experiencing a relationship breakup, a situation fraught with emotional turmoil. Instead of succumbing to despair, you can choose to use this experience as an opportunity to gain self-awareness, develop independence, and clarify your relationship goals. You can learn from past mistakes, identify unhealthy patterns, and emerge from the breakup with a stronger sense of self and a clearer vision for future relationships. Facing a health challenge, instead of succumbing to fear and anxiety, you can choose to cultivate resilience, appreciate life, and strengthen relationships. You can focus on taking care of your body, connecting with loved ones, and finding meaning in the face of adversity. By actively reframing these challenges, you transform them from sources of suffering into catalysts for growth and positive change. This is where the real opportunity lies, in trusting that these challenges will ultimately lead to growth and a greater purpose. The struggle of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly isn't comfortable, but it's essential for its transformation. Reframing adversity isn't about denying or minimizing pain. It's about choosing how we respond to it. It's about taking control of our inner narrative and refusing to let external circumstances dictate our emotional state. In a world that constantly bombards us with messages of instant gratification and the avoidance of discomfort, embracing challenges becomes a radical act of self-empowerment. What if you could embrace any challenge you face? What if you could love the struggle? Embracing challenges builds resilience, fosters creativity, and allows us to live more authentically. It frees us from the trap of seeking external validation and empowers us to pursue what is meaningful instead of what is merely expedient. If you can love the struggle, you can love anything. Seneca believed that challenging circumstances are what made great leaders. How can you apply Seneca's logic today? What challenges are you currently facing? How can you apply these reframing techniques to find meaning and growth in those situations? However, learning to reframe adversity is a lifelong journey, not a one-time fix. It requires consistent effort, self-awareness, and a willingness to challenge our ingrained patterns of thinking. So how can we make Stoicism a living philosophy that guides our choices and shapes our character, rather than just an intellectual exercise? What specific routines, habits, and perspectives can help us cultivate a Stoic way of living, day in and day out? How can we consistently integrate Stoic principles into our daily lives and build a resilient mindset that allows us to thrive, even in the face of inevitable challenges? As we've journeyed through Seneca's wisdom and the Stoic path, it's time to distill the core essence of what we've uncovered. Now, let's consolidate our understanding and extract the most vital principles that can reshape our approach to life's challenges and the pursuit of contentment. We'll transition from exploration to application, focusing on how to weave these timeless truths into the fabric of our daily lives. What does it mean to truly live a life free from the tyranny of happiness? In essence, we've seen how Seneca's Stoicism presents a powerful alternative to the modern obsession with fleeting happiness, advocating instead for a life grounded in virtue and inner strength. The cornerstone of this philosophy lies in recognizing the distinction between what we can and cannot control, freeing ourselves from the tyranny of external circumstances. We have moved beyond just the philosophical implications and established practical steps to incorporate the reframing of adversity into our daily lives. How can we ensure these lessons remain top of mind as we progress through life? What daily practice might help us stay grounded and virtuous? Recall the initial question we posed. Is our modern pursuit of happiness misguided? Seneca's answer, as we've seen, is a resounding yes, but it is not an end, but a new beginning. Remember those tools we discussed: journaling, mindfulness, acceptance. These are not mere techniques, but pathways to building a fortress of inner peace. The path is not without obstacles. Avoiding perfection, building consistency, and choosing meaningful, virtuous goals is what will bring us happiness. It is the act of reframing circumstances that allows us to move from victimhood to strength. It is the ability to find opportunity in adversity. But how do we begin to put all of these together? The ultimate truth we must confront is this. True contentment isn't found in the fleeting pursuit of happiness, but in embracing a life of unwavering virtue, unyielding resilience, and profound acceptance. It's about choosing to face adversity head-on, knowing that each challenge refines our character and strengthens our spirit. Living life virtuously creates its own happiness. This inner fortitude, more than any external achievement, becomes the bedrock of our well-being and the source of our deepest satisfaction. What matters to you most, deep down? This isn't just about personal happiness. It's about navigating the complexities of the human experience with wisdom and grace, finding meaning amidst the chaos. Imagine a world where more individuals embraced Stoic principles, where resilience replaced anxiety, compassion conquered division, and virtue guided our actions. In a world grappling with social media pressures and constant gratification, the wisdom of Seneca offers a much-needed perspective. What changes would need to occur for that to happen? What impact might we see if people en masse started to shift their focus inward? Remember, you possess the power to choose your response to every situation, to rise above adversity, and to cultivate a life of meaning and purpose. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Stoicism and happiness. Your willingness to challenge conventional wisdom and seek deeper truths is commendable. By taking the tools that have been discussed and implementing them into your daily lives, you too can be successful in living virtuously. So, what will you do next? I encourage you to take some time to reflect on Seneca's teachings and identify one small step you can take today to live more virtuously and mindfully. Embrace the challenges that come your way, knowing that they are not roadblocks but stepping stones on the path to a more fulfilling and meaningful existence. Remember, the journey to true contentment isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about finding strength and meaning in the face of it. The journey starts now with you. Thanks for looking.